Game changers, game changers. Welcome back to At the Desk with Dr. Qua, the podcast where transformation begins with conversation. I'm happy that you're able to join us this afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I welcome a former practitioner of mine, someone who I highly respect. The work that she does with our scholars year in and year out has been fantastic, and she has been doing it for a very long time. So today I have her on here to share some of her insights with respect to building rapport with our scholars and maintaining that rapport throughout the course of the academic year to effectively engage our scholars. My guest today is Mrs. Michele Ginn, our superstar for this afternoon. Michele Ginn is a dedicated middle school mathematics teacher in the Plainfield School District with more than 35 years of classroom experience. Throughout her career, she has served as a grade level advisor and mentor to new teachers, providing guidance and support to both scholars and colleagues. In Michele's math class, where I've been witness firsthand on multiple occasions, she integrates reading and writing to strengthen scholars' critical thinking and communication skills. She's passionate about fostering an inclusive learning environment where every scholar feels represented and engaged. By connecting real-world math problems with scholars' background and experiences, she ensures learners see themselves reflected in the content. Beyond teaching, Michele enjoys reading mystery novels and listening to music, which provides her with the balance and energy she needs to continue giving her best to our scholars on a daily basis. This is Michele Ginn. Welcome to Welcome to At the Desk with Dr. Qua. It is a
Thank
great
you.
pleasure to have you here. And before we get started, just transparency. I've had the pleasure of working with you for a couple of decades or a decade
Oh, yeah,
plus, over a decade plus.
exactly.
So let me just say this, folks. Michele's class was one of those locations where I didn't have to worry about going to because I knew come hell or high water, scholars are there on time. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And so, as a building admin, if Mrs. Ginn sends you to the office, there's no conversation. There's no
Exactly.
conversation. I'm taking you out. So, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Michele. Um,
Thank you.
so, yes, yes, yes. When you hear this conversation that I want us to have, because you've been doing this for quite some time, share with us what building rapport looks like to you.
Well, it looks like that we're the students, parents, and the teacher that's in the classroom all are
Mm-hmm.
working together. There is no, I'm the teacher, this is how it's going to go. No,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go in there and make sure, because children, they are just little adults. And the same way that we walk into that classroom or any job and we are given a second chance each and every day, that's the way you should, function with the children and the parents.
Mm-hmm. So, as you're preparing for this upcoming academic year, right? What are some of the things that you're already thinking of planning so that when those scholars walk across the threshold of your classroom, you are ready to embrace them and give them what they need to be scholars?
Well, before they even come into the school, I'm already sending out an email to the parents and to the students. All right, introducing myself, what the class is about, and different things like that. Once they come
Okay.
in on that first day, I'm going to meet them at that door. All right, they're going in. I let them know you have an assignment up on that board. You're going to get started with that assignment, and then I'll wait a while as they're working on that assignment and we're going over it and different things like that before I go into any rules, because sometimes you have children that are coming in late, they have a class change and different
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So any of the rules, that's going to be after the fact, after they, come in. I do a convince me that they are given a problem. I teach mathematics, so they are given a problem with the correct answer, but you have to convince me that that answer is correct.
Okay.
So that's what they're working on. So once you get started with everything right then and there, I understand there's games being played and different things like that. That's on how that classroom is being run. But I like to get started right then and there with everything so you'll know come later.
Okay. Okay. So they walk in immediately. Then the focus and seriousness is established from the door. You're not coming in here. I
Exactly.
don't want to know yours yet. Uh, Sit
Right.
down. There's work. Get to work.
And that's it. We'll go over it. But as they're working on it, I'm doing the attendance because they are working on an assignment,
Right.
you know? And like I said, giving that time to other students who are coming in. After that, then we'll have another task that they're going to work on, like a scavenger hunt or something like that. Everything is like getting a review because you want
Mm-hmm.
everyone to feel comfortable enough knowing the information that they were previously taught. So
Right.
here it is. I know this. Let me go ahead and do what I have to do. They're working together, okay, because you have to have that cooperative learning. They have to know how to work with each other.
Okay.
Walking around, you cannot sit back and watch the kids do anything. You should be in the mix of it also.
Okay.
Asking questions. You have to get that established right then and there. You need to be asking questions during that time. Understand? And make sure that the kids are comfortable enough to ask you a question. But when they are
Mm-hmm.
asking, you don't give them the answer. You redirect them some type of way. What do you think you should do? What's the first
Okay.
part you think you're going to enter into this problem?
So from the
After
door,
that, go ahead.
no. So what I'm hearing from you as one of your standard operating norms from the door, the minute you walk in, we're not talking about, so how was your summer? And, share with me what vacations you
No,
went on. You start them walking in the door like, listen, this is math class. You walking in
right.
and we're getting to work right away.
Right, exactly, exactly. And let me back up because when I send that email, in that email, the parents and the students also know they're coming into class with that pencil and that notebook.
Okay.
Day one,
So, okay.
so they have
So
to know everybody has to be on the same page.
got you. Got you. So this is a critical piece for that establishment of the seriousness of the learning environment.
Exactly.
So once everybody's situated, is there any point during that first day that everyone is there during that instructional block that you begin that conversation about expectations?
Yes, that comes after the scavenger hunt because by
Okay.
that time, everybody should, at least the majority of the class, should be in there at that
Mm-hmm.
point. And I'm not giving them any more than four, rules or anything. And it's
Okay.
set up in somewhat of an acronym with math. So what it is for
Okay.
M, A, T, and H. Okay. Once that is, we go over that, then I'll ask the students, should I add anything? What do I need to add to it? Or, what part do you not understand? Can somebody explain it? Different things like that. You have to involve them in everything because this
Mm.
is their classroom. It's not your classroom.
Well, it's your classroom. Well, you're the dictator of the classroom environment.
That's it.
However,
That's
you're
the end
giving
of
them a degree of democracy.
it. Right.
So
Exactly.
that's interesting because I think a lot of times you have practitioners who want to give the rules
Right.
or establish rules without gleaning from scholars what works for them, right? So
Right.
without input. So I like the fact
Right.
that one, you're keeping your rules to the content area, right? Using the content spelling to
Right.
create the rules for the instructional setting. and then gleaning from them what they think they want to add.
Right.
Now, here's my
Right.
question. Does that change the rules for each cohort that you see? Or the math portion, I'm going to assume, is standard operating procedure.
Right. Right.
That's the
Right.
non-negotiable.
Exactly.
Okay, so the parts where the class, a given cohort might add, does that change it
Right.
for each group?
No, I take it something from each one of the groups, and then I change it and make it just across the board
So then
because
it's
I
one
can't remember
uniform
all these
one that
different
the
things.
entire all cohorts adhere to.
Right.
Awesome,
Exactly.
awesome, awesome, awesome.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay, so
It
that's
would be too
those of
much
you
for
who are
me to
new to
try to
this.
remember who does what.
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
I said that would be too much for me to remember.
Ah.
Okay, this class they want to do this, and that class,
Mm-hmm.
that's too much. No, it's just going to be one. Everybody contributed. This is what it is for all the classes, and we're going to go ahead with it.
Okay. Okay. So again, that's structure. That's structure
Right.
that you have in your space that you are expecting scholars to adhere to and abide by. I
Right.
want to take us into some data because I love the fact that scholars walking into to your instructional setting from the rip are getting to
Right.
work. Right? We don't have
Right.
time to lollygag. I'm not asking you how your summer was. There'll be
Right.
plenty of time for that later. Right now,
Exactly.
get to this task, followed by this scavenger hunt, right? Which
Right.
kind of creates that, okay, this is a no nonsense, right? I'm not here to
Right.
just hang out and, get to know my
Right.
teacher and, talk about the summer.
Right.
I got you. I got
Right.
you. Beautiful.
That's right.
Beautiful. So
Hmm.
I want to take us to look at some data because in 23-24 school year, uh, NEA and the Pew Research Center did a study where they talked to 2,500 educators about just
Right.
the field of education. So I want to share some data. I want to share some of the findings just to give some context to just the degree of challenge
Right.
practitioners have to deal with in establishing this classroom rapport in order to be
Right.
able to facilitate the teaching that takes place on a daily basis. All right. So let's take a look at this real quick. Okay. So these are some of the major problems that practitioners of K-12 schools reported over that during that research study.
Okay.
So you talk about chronic absenteeism, poverty, anxiety and depression, bullying, drug use, school fights, alcohol use, gangs, right? So these are all some of the things that are facing teachers on a daily
Right.
basis when they walk into that environment.
Right.
Now, let me qualify it by saying these things happen in different degrees. Some
Right.
things more than other, depending on your location, the makeup of your instructional location or setting,
Right.
the demographics, and all of those things play a part in the information that we're looking at here. So, my interest is again, as a middle school practitioner, I know bullying is always high on the list.
Right.
Ad- Additionally, the chronic absenteeism and anxiety, I'm realizing, I think part of this study was attributed to COVID.
Right.
The impact COVID had on our scholars. So their social dynamics, kids that live through that COVID period, they are delayed in their social interactions. So that leads to the
Right.
bullying and the fights and things along those lines. All
Right.
right. But these are some, for our audience, these are some of the elements that practitioners have to kind of wade through
Right.
before they can even build rapport with scholars, before they can even establish that learning environment that we all desire, right?
Right.
Um, Additionally, let's see. This is another part of the study that talks about verbal abuse and physical abuse that teachers may encounter. Again, all of
Right.
this is contingent or dependent upon your given location, where you
Right.
are, the dynamics of that environment plays a part in frequency of these things happening or not happening,
Right.
right? So you talk about verbal abuse. You look at it from the elementary level, middle school, high school. As you know, as a former principal of a middle school, I call them Jekyll and Hyde. 8 o'clock, somebody's giving you the finger and cussing you
Right.
out. Eight
Right.
15, 8:20, they want a hug from you.
Right.
You're
Right.
like,
Mm-hmm.
well, you just finished cussing me out,
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
for our middle school scholars, this is like that was a lifetime ago that I cussed you out.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So what I want our
And with
audience to
that, oh,
understand, this is real,
mhm.
right?
Right.
These things do happen.
Right.
Kids just getting up and walking and moving about when they're not supposed to. Things along those
Right.
lines. All right. Um,
But that's where you have to, establish how that's going to work in your classroom from the beginning. You cannot
right.
wait until, Michelle gets up and goes over and talks with so and so and then say, oh, this is what it is, or, different things like that. No, let them know from the beginning, this is how it's going to be. Like in my class, everybody's working together. Okay, I have peer tutors. So if somebody in the other group needs help, they're going to ask one of those kids in the other group. They're able to
Mm,
get up and go.
okay.
They don't have to come to me and say, Miss Ginn, can I go over and help so and so and this and that? Yeah, I know who the peer tutors are in the classroom for that day because it
Mm-hmm.
changes.
Oh, it does it.
Everybody does not learn. Yeah, because everybody does
So
not learn the concept the same way on any given time. So, you
absolutely.
know, right. So if somebody's having difficulties today, may not have difficulties tomorrow on the concept. They may be the peer tutor. So
Okay.
at that point, I know who is who's getting up, who's going around, or what have you. If somebody needs help, they may go to the peer tutor. So there is movement going on in the classroom. And not only that, me personally, do not like, anybody just sitting there. The
Mm-hmm.
kids need to move around.
Absolutely.
That helps them
Absolutely.
focus. All right. That also helps with engagement because they're not sitting there. You're talking about coming in the classroom at 8:30 in the morning, moving around enough to just go to the next classroom and sit there for 80, 90 minutes or whatever it is, move to another class and you're sitting there. You're sitting down from 8:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon. That doesn't
You
make any
got
kind of sense.
that's a
So
point.
that's how you're losing everybody. Well,
So
that's one way of
so
losing everybody.
again, let me ask this question because before I even talk about this data point, you're making some very important distinctions, right? So at what point are these protocols being established? So we have our math acronym uh, non-negotiables, right? We've
Right.
added from each of the different cohorts that we're dealing with at least one uh, expectation or behavior
Right.
expectation that they want to include. So we've established this. Now that we've
Right.
established this, how do you work? Because a lot of teachers are afraid to let go. The way
Mm-hmm.
you're describing it is like,
Right.
yes, Kwame can get up and go talk to Michelle, and
Right.
because there's an understanding that he's not going there to play, he's going there to get help, or Michelle is
Right.
coming to Kwame to help, right?
Right.
But that has to be, you have to foster that. You have to create
Right.
that and give guidance around that.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it's not going to happen on that day, on that first day. You have to
Right.
constantly go over it, or just a reminder, or remember the class life up there
Mm-hmm.
because I have it posted in the room. That doesn't come down. That stays up the whole school year. So you refer back to it, and a
Okay.
lot of times the kids will check each other.
Which is beautiful because I've seen that in
Right.
action.
Right. Right.
I've
And
seen
then
that
you
in action.
also, yeah, you understand me? And so you also have to be willing to be, to apologize and stuff. Let's say, for instance, the kids are
Ooh.
talking, you're thinking they're talking and different things like that. And you say, okay, Michelle, stop talking, or what are you talking about, or something like that. And Michelle says, it's not me. Well, then Jason is going to say, I'm sorry, Miss Ginn, that was me. I was talking. Okay, Michelle, I'm sorry that I, said that you were talking.
Wow.
And you go
So
on with it.
so for our audience, I think this is definitely a piece of the puzzle that might be missing in a lot of situations. Adults not seeing themselves as making mistakes,
Right,
they all know it, and not apologizing when the opportunity presents itself.
right,
Because as a former classroom teacher, I know for a fact, one, scholars want boundaries. As much
right,
as we think they don't, they do.
right,
Where things go haywire is where there are no boundaries,
right,
right? And so
right,
then, if there aren't any boundaries, well, I'll test all the waters.
right.
you know,
Exactly, exactly.
little Kwame is going to dip his toe in this area and that area and push this one. So, okay,
Right,
okay. So
right.
let's get back to the research real quick, and then we can kind of go back to our discussion. Um,
Okay.
Part of the research also found that only about a third of teachers are effectively trained to manage challenging behavior, right? So coming up in my early days as a teacher, one of the things that used to be in vogue was this instructional theory and practice, right? The
Right.
problem is when theory meets reality, right?
Yeah.
Little Michael in the corner talk about, man, if you don't get out of my face, man, I
Right.
don't know who you talking to. Why you at, right? If I've not gotten a level of training that prepares
Right.
me for being adaptable and deft in pivoting in situations like that, I'm at a loss and I'm shocked
Right.
and go to the office, right? I'm
Right.
sending you to the office because I don't want to deal with you. What I've always told practitioners, and they couldn't stand me for it, but whenever
Mhm.
you send a kid to me, you are
Right.
undermining your own authority, right?
Right.
Because what you're messaging to that scholar is that I can't deal with you.
Exactly.
You've heard practitioners time and again go, oh, now you won't behave because Dr. Asante is here, or Miss So and so is here, or so and so is here, right? The only
Right.
time that happens is because in the eye of the child, you've already given up your power. So I don't need to
Right.
listen to you. But when so
Right.
and so shows up, I'm straighten up. I pretend I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing until they leave the room, and I go
Right.
back to doing what I do.
Right. Right.
So in with respect to that, how do you manage to handle our most challenging? I don't like to use the word bad kids, right? Because everybody, there's some bad kids. No, if it was your child, you wouldn't want anybody call them bad. But they
Mhm.
are challenging. They present challenges that we have to address.
Right.
So,
Right.
how do you build a strong rapport with scholars? Because I've seen in my years working with you,
Mhm.
scholars who are a pain in
Right.
everybody's backside, but they run to get to your class on time. They
Right.
actually try the work. I mean, I've
Right.
seen these guys at the desk doing work, and I'm going, okay,
Mhm.
so he can do it. It's just
Right.
you have to establish that condition, that rapport, that
Right.
trust for that scholar to say, you
Exactly.
know what, I'm going to do it.
Right. But you have to go in there that you're human. But if you're going in there and you're doing this and you're going to do that and this and that and the other, who's going to listen to that? I'm not even
Mm.
listening to that. You understand what I'm saying? That's
Right,
something
right,
that
right.
you need. When you walk up in that classroom day one, first of all, you need to be facing the students, and you need to, don't talk at them. You need to discuss different things with them. And this is
Mm.
how it's going to go. When you have a student that, is challenging, as you state, and you let it go for that second to get everybody on task. And okay, Michelle, you got to step outside for a second. Let's have a little discussion. You're not going tit for tat in front of those kids because you win
Mm.
that. Because you're going to have the
please,
other kids
please say that
booing and
again because
ahhing
I
and
think that's a
laughing.
critical piece. because of the fact that I think
Right.
a lot of adults, teachers,
Right.
even leaders, administrators, if you're not familiar with the scholar and you want to come
Right.
at them sideways in the middle of class in front of an audience,
Right. Right.
ooh, right?
They're going to
That
put you
might not
down.
work in your favor.
That's right. They'll have you crying in there. You can only go but so far with a kid.
Right. Especially when they're not yours.
Right. Exactly.
Because if it was mine, you'll catch a backhand real quick. But since you're not mine, I
Right.
have to use my
Right.
words,
That's right.
my words and the threat.
That's the
I'm gonna
truth.
call your
Yes.
mama.
Yep.
Oh
Right.
man.
And then a lot of times, even with that, you don't have to, you have to come up with some way besides, sending them to the administrators or even contacting the parents. Now, if it's something so serious, yeah,
hmm
okay. But you have to deal with that. You have to
Right.
be in there with this student every day, and you have to also teach them the content, and you are in there to teach them.
Right. Right.
So if you're trying to get all of this help from everybody else and you're not doing anything, you're sitting back and just putting it out there, then you have lost that child.
Not only that child, but you're going to lose a large majority of your scholars as the
Right,
year progresses.
right, right,
Because I know for a fact we had some colleagues that will phone a friend and they'll show up and handle the situation. But the problem is when that individual is not in the building, you gotta
right,
deal with Kwame,
right. That's right,
right? And so
right,
I think what we're saying here is that it's also critically important to be consistent.
right. Yes,
Consistent. Because the one thing our scholars know is fairness.
right,
So
right,
Michelle does something, you don't check her,
right,
but Kwame does the same thing, and all of a sudden, why?
right.
You just created
That's
a
right.
problem for your classroom environment.
And the students will let you know. They will tell you
Mm,
right then and there.
mm, mm.
So whatever works, works. Like, you know, we still have that rule in there that, the first, 10-15 minutes, the students cannot use the restroom. In the last 10-15 minutes, they can't use the restroom.
Right.
You can't go. No one. You
So
cannot go out.
I remember one year we had a whole team on one of the floors at the grade level where, don't let so and so, or scholars are not permitted to go the first 10 or 15, the last 10,
Right,
15. And it seems like there's always one on the squad who kind of violates that,
right.
right? And when that happens, talk to me about how that impacts that same group of kids come back to your learning environment.
Right, because they'll tell you about it. Well, why was I able to do it over?
I think we lost your audio, Michelle.
Oh, can you hear me
You're
now?
back. You're back. You're back. Okay. You're back.
Oh, okay.
So as you were
Yeah, I
saying,
was saying that the kids will, they'll let you know about it and different things like that. But now, you have this group of kids who left the teacher, who let them do whatever or use the restroom or this and that and the other. And now they're coming to you. Well, I was able to go during that time and this and that. So you have to keep going back and forth. That's cutting into now the time of that classroom. But that's what
right,
I'm saying.
right.
Also, you have to get all of that. Whatever that teacher did in that classroom, that's in that classroom. But now you over here, and this is how it's going to be over here.
Mm,
So you don't
mm,
have any time wasted.
right, right. So one of the things that I think new teachers coming into this field and
Right.
experienced teachers who are still possibly struggling with maintaining or building this rapport with scholars to engage them meaningfully. Uh,
Right.
how do you intentionally build trust and connection during the first few days and the first few weeks of school with each class or with your classes? Because once that first impression is set, The real work is keeping the connection going.
Right, right. But as I stated, you let them know the first 2 days, okay, really getting to know the kids, and the kids are really getting to know you and all. You're not spending all day going over these rules and different things like that. But then on that next full day that you really need to be in the mix of it and all, just tell, okay, if somebody's out of, not doing what they're supposed to be doing, okay, you need to refer back and different things like that. But with the teachers, I think as a grade level, everybody needs to come together and make sure that we're all on the same, page with all of this. That way,
Mm,
everything will flow a little bit more easily than, okay, this is happening over here, this is happening over here. No, we all need to be on the same page. We can't just do whatever we feel like doing. Yes, that's in your classroom, but in order for everything to flow, in order for the kids to really be engaged, in order for the kids to, for us not to give the students any opportunity to misbehave or not come to school or whatever is going on and different things like that, everybody needs to keep together, be on the same page, and do what they're supposed to do, and make sure these kids are learning what you're teaching them and all, and feeling comfortable in each and every last one of the classrooms, not feeling that,
mm-hmm.
oh, I could do whatever I want to do over here, or feeling like I can't do anything at all over here. We have to have a balance going on with the kids
Okay.
and with each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's
But
one of
we
the
have to
things
keep going
that
over it sometimes.
we gotta do. Keep what?
We have to keep going over these different rules sometimes, in order for they're children, they're coming in. You're talking about that it may be 5 different rules that they have to learn for 5 different classes. So if
Mm,
everybody's giving them about 3 or 4 different rules, you know, that's a problem in itself also, until they get, used to what's going on. Okay, I know in Miss Ginn's class, I could get up and I could walk around and different things like that. In this class,
mm-hmm.
no, I have to stay in my seat. Otherwise, I'm going to get detention. You understand what I mean?
Right. Right.
All
So
of those types of things.
talk to us a little bit about um, some of your daily routines, habits, and small actions that you use to nurture those relationships over the course of the academic year.
Well, I do give praise, whether they're, it's not all about getting the answer correct. No, it's your behavior, is your academic behavior and different things like that, how well you're working with, your peers in the classroom, how you're participating and different things like that. It's not just, only, oh, you got this answer right and oh, here you go. No, everybody needs to have some type of praise going on and
Mm-hmm.
different things like that. Everybody needs to be recognized, and you need to give the kids an opportunity to have a voice about something. Don't leave
Absolutely.
that one. That kid is standing over there. No, ask that kid a question. I don't care if the answer's wrong.
Right.
And if
Right.
they say they don't know, then you ask. Okay, well, what would you do if you don't know? What would you do? What would be the first thing that you could do?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have movement, as I stated before. You have to have them working together. You have to be out there in the middle of it, and all. You can't just sit back and just let them go with it. Everybody needs to be up at the board. Everybody needs to be, all of that.
So what I'm hearing again, making your scholars feel seen, right? You're including them, even though they want to shrink. You bring them
Right,
into the conversation by,
right,
hey, okay, let's give it a try.
right,
So in these instances, because I know one of the things, as I think I shared with you, and while I was there as a principal and just in multiple conversations, those tough guys, right? Those kids who tend to
right,
create havoc, being in your class
right,
and me seeing them and other people seeing them get up and go to the board and try,
right,
right?
right,
That's taking academic risk. So is
right,
there something you do to establish the environment of, listen, everybody can try, everybody's going to give it a shot. We don't laugh.
right,
Like, people have gotten stuff wrong while I've been observing you, and the kids were
right,
like, they were more helpful than teasing and
right,
laughing and degrading.
right. And that is discussed also, and you give them certain scenarios and different things at the beginning. Well, what would you do, you know, if this person got the answer wrong? And they'll tell you, oh, I'll help that person. Or I said, well, how would you feel if somebody laughed at you and you got the answer wrong? And they,
Mm,
they'll let you know. I wouldn't feel, really good. I wouldn't want to do anything and different things like that. Okay, well, that's how we're going to do it in here. And we're not talking about anybody, mother, father, or anybody else. We're not doing those either.
mm-hmm,
You are going to come in here and you are going to uplift each other. And that's how we're going to work it out. Everybody learns differently. We make that, I tell them that. I said, because I learn differently. I cannot sit in a seat and listen to anybody talk. I will go to sleep with my eyes open because you're just talking at me. you know?
How many
So
times you do that in my meeting, Michelle?
all the time.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point because
Yeah,
again,
you
this
have to, right.
this notion of you got to sit, you know, all day, and that's the only way I could control my class. I know that's part of a fear for some practitioners of letting go because they
Right,
don't want to
right.
lose the class.
Right. And you also have to use their interests. A lot of the students that we have, they play soccer and basketball and different things like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
always state to them, well, how did you get on the team?
Mm,
Say, oh, I went out, I was practicing, I've been doing this all this time and everything. I said, well, the same way you practice your sport that you are so interested in, it's the same way you have to practice your subject areas and all. Every night you need to spend a certain amount of time studying
mm.
and you need to practice. I said, we're in the classroom. You are also practicing in the classroom. So you have to get up and you have to, show what you know. And I don't have them going up by themselves. Well, now we're using the thinking classroom, so there's a triad going up, which is really
Mm-hmm.
good. And they can talk with each other, discuss. You go around to each other. Everybody is presenting.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You
So,
have to make them feel comfortable.
and I think that's a critical component, right? Allowing scholars to feel comfortable enough that they are willing to take that academic risk. But I think it's also
Right.
helpful that the practitioner takes that interest and makes sure that scholars understand that you are there as their support mechanism
Right.
should they stumble.
Right. Right.
And so when we start looking at that, I wanna look at how you maintain that balance between being approachable, building trust while still seeing clear boundaries and establishing expectations. And I asked that question because I know prior to my retirement, I think my last
Mhm.
year, a couple of the teachers were, oh, friends and friends and friends. And I'm going, yeah, we about to have a whole bunch of headaches before the year is out. Like,
Exactly. You do not have 11 and 12 and 13 and 14-year-old friends. They're not your friend. No. You are in there to teach the students your content area. You are also in there, for lack of a better word, to be their confidant because they need to be able to, come to you and let you know, okay, somebody's bullying me or somebody, was smoking in the bathroom or somebody,
right,
vaping,
right, right.
vaping in the bathroom or this and that and the other. That's the extent of it. I'm not your friend. And see, and that's where lines start crossing and becoming very blurry and different things like that. And then as soon as you ask the students to, turn in their assignment, do their work or something like that, or present or what have you, they turn
Mm-hmm.
around and they let you know, no, I'm not doing that.
Hey, since we're friends,
Or they
right?
won't do it. Right. Well, I
Since we're
won't do it.
friends, I ain't doing that.
Exactly. Or
And
sitting at you go in there and they're sitting up on the ledge and cross legs and having lunch and no, you cannot do that. You need you need
critical
to draw the
critical
line.
piece of this puzzle here, folks. Managing your instructional setting establishing boundaries and making sure scholars know that yes, you can be friendly, but you are not their
Mm-hmm.
friend. And I think
That's right.
that's where some of the new teachers or newer teachers uh, trip, right? Because this
Right.
notion of, well, we're friends. No, I'm not. We're not friends, right? I'm your
Right.
teacher. I'll be
Right.
friendly towards you and with you, but my job is to
Right.
provide this instructional piece here, make sure you get what I'm teaching so that you can perform well
Right.
moving forward. Um, the
Right.
dynamic of this
And let me add
friendship piece,
something, Mr. Asante, Dr. Asante.
that's
Uh,
okay. You still haven't got used to the doctor.
but also what would help also
Mm-hmm.
is that you have to stay in communication with the parents and guardians also.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
I try every 2 weeks to send
Mm-hmm.
out an email to them. I
Okay.
also give them, I created the teachers helped me create the Google Voice, so that
Uh-huh.
way I can, instead of giving my personal number, I could give them that number, and I
Right.
can text, the parents individually and things like that when something is going on, because everything doesn't warrant you sending out, a full email to everybody and stuff
Right.
like that. And a lot of the parents, really appreciate that. And
Mm.
in addition to that, when I have to have, students come in for tutoring or something like that, which I do in the morning. I don't do it in the
Mm-hmm.
afternoon. I do it in the morning anymore. And so the parents will ask, well, Miss Ginn, can you text me and make sure my child made it to your classroom and different things? Because there's so much going on now, you know?
Right.
But the parents have to be comfortable with you also, that you are going to
Absolutely.
do right by, their child.
So this is another component that I think practitioners who are new to the field and those who are still struggling with their classroom dynamics, this is a component that they need to really hone in on because that
Right,
homeschool connection and relationship is critical, right?
right,
You can't wait till Kwame's been misbehaving for the first 2 3 months. You wait till the first marking period. What is it? The interim period, and then you want to drop all
right,
this stuff on mom's lap or dad's lap or
right,
whoever the
exactly.
guardian is.
Right,
And so it's
that's right.
what I'm hearing you say is that from day one, you begin making that connection with the home. You stated that at the onset, before they even walk into your class, you're sending out
Exactly.
communication, and you keep
Right,
that going
that's right.
throughout the year.
Yes, yes. And one other thing, Dr. Asante, is that, when you are, praising the students, you do not always have to give them candy and or bribe them and different things that like that, because
Mm-hmm.
it is a must. That is their job, to come in there and learn. That's their job. That's
Absolutely.
the end of it. Now you're going to
Absolutely.
get verbal praise, but you're not getting candy and the trip and the sticker and the this and the that and the other. Now I thought this year I'm going to try and find affirmation stickers to give them at the beginning, so they're always able to look at it, and feel
Nice.
good about
Nice.
themselves every day.
Nice.
You know,
So that
different things like that. All of that other stuff I can't do.
uh, but I love that. I love that because I think oftentimes uh, we practitioners have used treats
Right,
as incentives to get scholars to
right,
be well. If you guys behave well, I'll get you a pizza. Or if you guys do such and
right,
such, you know, I have this candy jar here that that becomes a serve as the motivation for them to behave themselves.
exactly.
Versus
Right,
I'm complimenting you on your effort, right?
right,
I'm acknowledging it.
yes,
I'm giving you that shout out. That praise is critically
right,
important because I think that goes along further. That goes further
right,
than the candy. I'll enjoy it for the moment. Once it's done,
right.
I'm going back to being a pain in the butt.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's it. And let me tell you something else. Also, within the classroom and all, you have to have your materials readily available for the students.
Say that
So
again. Preach on that.
yeah, you cannot. And in the math class we used the pencils and everything, so they're sitting on my desk. Okay, anything that's in my desk is just the school stuff. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
worried about that. But the pencils are up there. You need a pencil, go get the pencil and go back
Mm.
and do what you need to do. Not, Miss Ginn, can I have a pencil? Can I do this? No, we don't have time for all of that. Get up, get the pencil, get back, and get going. So they know all of that. You can't stop in
So
the
let me ask this question because I think it's important because I know some audience members might probably be curious as to like when does she do all this, establishing these routines and
first few days.
expectations, right?
The
You
first
said
few
what?
days.
The
The
first few
first few
days,
days.
and
Yep.
you
Day
just
one. You have to
reinforce.
start day one. You let them know. And you will be surprised at
Hmm.
how many students will remember that next day when they come in.
Mm. Mm.
Because they already know.
But again, it's about that accountability for them as well,
Right. Right.
right? So this is you're here to learn. Your resources that you need to help you learn are here if you
Right.
didn't bring your own, right?
Right.
Versus teachers fighting, but you always come with no pencil or blah blah blah, right? Let's not fight
Right.
over pencils.
Right. That's the least of it. And let me tell you something. I read a little poem the other day about how a child was getting up and getting ready and the parents weren't there and different things like that. But then when the kid gets to school, you're like, oh, you don't have a pencil? Why you don't have a pencil? And this and that and the other. Do you
Mm.
remember the book that you gave us years ago about If My Teacher Only Knew?
Yes. Oh wow, you went wait,
Okay.
you taking me back.
Yes, you need to, that's a true book
Mm.
that everybody should, read because we're not all coming from the same place.
Mm.
We're not all coming from the same household. We don't know what happened last night or this morning.
Right.
We don't
Right.
understand any of that. So, when I first started teaching, to me, school was, your safe haven. I can go in
Right.
there. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about I slept in the dark or I couldn't do my homework because the lights were off or I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to eat or what. You understand what I mean?
No, I
You are
definitely.
that person that, you have to be kind. You have to respect the student. Just because they're kids does not mean you don't respect them. You understand what I
As
mean?
yes, absolutely. And as I used to tell you guys, right, we're going to treat our scholars with dignity and respect.
Exactly.
And you make a valid point because the child may not have a pencil, but you talk about how, they went through the joy of getting ready. I'm going to get to
Right.
school, and I get to school because nobody was home, nobody woke me up. I made my
That's
way
right.
here, and rather than being excited that I showed up, you
Right.
want to admonish me because I walked into your class without a pencil.
Right.
So
Hmm.
again, what is it that we're fighting over, right?
Right.
The objective here, you want to build that rapport. You want to definitely establish that welcoming
Right.
disposition and environment where scholars feel,
Exactly.
hey, I didn't have breakfast, but my teacher is like, listen, I got a granola bar. Here,
Right.
have one, eat it. Let's get to work.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's
So
exactly right.
we've been at this conversation for a minute, right? I want to go back to a quick finish some of this data stuff because I think it's important um, as we're starting to prepare for school.
Right.
The 2025-26 school year, it's incredibly important that practitioners understand, we understand, or even not just practitioners, but just the community at large understands that
Right.
the things that teachers have to deal with, right? You
Right.
made the comment earlier about people coming from different households, different belief systems, different behavior expectations, different, way they talk to adults, right? All of these
Right.
variables, and they all end
Right.
up in your classroom. 25
Right.
kids, depending on where you are, could be even higher, right? And
Right.
your job as a single individual is to try to get everybody on the same page so that they can learn.
Right.
And so, in order to
Right.
do that, this relationship building is critically
Right.
important.
Right.
And you have to go to it and get to it with empathy,
Right. Yep.
embracing those scholars for who they are and
Right.
what they come with, meet them where they
Right.
are.
Right. And don't judge.
Oh, please say that again.
Yep. Yep. That's
Don't
right.
judge because they're not
Right.
coming from the same neighborhood you came from, right?
That's right.
They
That's
don't
right.
live in the same area code.
Right.
So, yes,
Exactly.
embrace them for
And
who
you
they are.
right. And you also, to make yourself more human, you can also tell them about, where you came from and, little tidbits about yourself and different things. Like
Yes.
I pulled up, the projects that I grew up in and everything, although they don't look the same as when I was there. And I had a hard time finding it.
Oh,
I said,
wow.
not here anymore.
Gentrification.
I'm telling you, oh my God. So I told them, I said, look, this is where I came from. I said, nothing but concrete, little chain that we swing on. That was our game and stuff like that. I said,
Uh-huh.
that's what it was. I said, but you have to realize it doesn't matter where you come from, it's where you're going.
Absolutely.
How are
Say
you
that
going
again.
to get there? You have
Mm,
to know. You have to make yourself human to the students and the parents that you're not better
absolutely.
than them. You don't snoot up your nose to anybody. You
Mm.
go in there and you be there for them.
Mrs. Ginn, you are preaching to the choir, and I'm loving it.
Well,
Listen, um, I said I was going back to the data for one more thing, only because I want to make sure that our folks are clear on some of the
okay.
things that we deal with as educators. The fact that 39% of K-12 educators say that they never received explicit classroom management instruction in their teacher prep course. That's a high number, right?
Yes.
So as we
Yes.
just talked about, you have a melting pot of a classroom, kids coming from all the different places, different things. Behavior dynamics are going to be different. So
Right.
this is an area that I think colleges, universities have to do a better job of in terms of preparations, teacher preparation, right?
Right.
And I think the other piece that I wanted to point out was the fact that 8 in 10 teachers say that they must address student behavior issues almost on a daily basis,
Okay.
at least a few times a week. And for some, 58% are saying this happens every single day. But having been in your classroom, having been in the trenches with you over the years, I've seen you find ways using your rapport building to mitigate these
Right.
behavioral challenges that we're talking about. So it's
Mhm.
doable. It's
Right.
doable.
Right. Right.
And
You know.
you have given us some salient points. So before we, I just looked at the time. I see we're at the 25-23 mark. Yeah, we've been
Okay.
talking again. So before I let you get out of here, all right, for our new teachers who are coming into the
Right.
profession, if they've been listening, if they're catching up later, what would be 3 nuggets you want to leave them with so that when they walk into their school classrooms this year, they could start off on a strong note?
Well, first of all, as I stated before, they need to, contact that classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for throughout the whole school year. They must reflect every day. They must
Okay.
reflect no matter what worked, what did not work. And they also need to, seek out a mentor. If they are not assigned a mentor, they need to, speak with someone that can help them while they are,
Ask for one.
trying to get themselves right, right.
Don't be afraid to ask the
Everybody will help.
administrators for help. I know some of us
Right,
think some teachers think the administrators are like the boogeyman, but just ask for
well,
help.
right, right, right. Everybody's there, and at Hubbard, people do not, have a problem with helping each other at all, and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes I have to ask for help, especially when it comes to this technology stuff. But anyway, You have to, and you have to have yourself together. Do not go in
Mm-hmm.
there and just try to wing it. You have to go in there, over plan. If you don't get to
Mm-hmm.
something at the end, that's fine, but over plan because something may, take a shorter time. Maybe the kids will go through it a little bit, and then you're standing there. Now that's where
Mm-hmm.
your behavior problems are going to come into play because you don't have anything else going on. And as I stated, you need to have some type of movement going on. They cannot sit all day.
Right.
Have that going on. Have them helping each other. Have them working with each other and all. And you have to be out there in the classroom, not at your desk, in the classroom the whole
Moving about.
time.
Proximity.
Right,
Okay. So
right,
that's for
right,
the incoming novice practitioners. How about those
right. And go
practitioners?
to work. Go early.
Go what?
Go to work early. Go in
Get
there
there
so you can
early.
sit down and then, calm
Be in
yourself
the
down because
environment.
your nerves. Right.
Be in the environment.
That's right. And one
People
other
don't
thing,
realize that's a very
do not
powerful
cry in
piece
front of the
because
kids. Wait till you get in the car. Then you can boo-hoo all you want. Come on back the next day.
so
Mhm.
give me two things you can share with practitioners who've already been in the classroom but are still having challenges and could benefit from a different strategy to better connect with their scholars.
I would say, in all honesty, you need to, look at different avenues and different things, dealing with behavior and dealing with
Mm,
middle school, well, not just middle school students, but, with all students and different things like
right.
that. Because times have changed. The kids have changed, since you first started teaching and different things like that. So you have to change with it also. What may
Mm-hmm.
have worked, last year may not work this year, or what may
Right.
have worked in your block one may not work in block three. So you have to be flexible, and know when to, okay, let me change this up because this is not working with this set of kids or something like that.
Right.
And not only that, also you still can ask for help also, just because even with the new teachers, the new teachers may be coming in with something because
Right.
they just came out of their student teaching or what have you. So they may have seen something that worked really well or what have you
Mm-hmm.
and could
Mm-hmm.
help out, add to it. Everybody has to work together. You're not in isolation. We're all together in here. And we're all in here for the same purpose for our students to learn, master the skill, no matter their circumstances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mrs. Michele Ginn, I want to say thank you so much for taking a seat at the desk with Dr. Qua.
I greatly appreciate you even
Uh,
inviting me here.
listen, I've seen your work. I've seen your miracle and your magic. And I think
Mhm.
it's vitally important that as we prepare for the 25-26 academic year, those who are really interested in building rapport with scholars hear what you've done for 35 plus years and just glean some insights. What works for you may
Right,
not work for everybody, but at least
right,
they have something that they can try for
right,
themselves, put their own twist on it,
right,
make it their own, so that they can be successful and in connecting with scholars that have been charged to their
right,
care. All right. So I
right,
want to say
right.
thank you so
That's right.
much. I wish you a terrific 25-26 academic year. Thank you for spending
Thank you
time with
so
us
much.
and showing up and sharing and you know, being transparent with our audience and our folks. Those who tuned in, it is my hope that you gleaned something positive and you got something positive out of this conversation. As we said, this is the podcast where transformation begins with conversation. And my hope is that what Mrs. Ginn has shared will be transformative in somebody's 25-26 academic year dynamic with scholars. So thank you so much. To those of you still on and watching, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And by all means, make sure you tell people about this conversation. They could come back to YouTube, watch it, and get some nuggets out of it because I think Michele did a fantastic job sharing with us some of her secret ingredients for making sure that her class runs like that magic. I'm telling you, if you've never seen her in action, kids are running to line up on time. They're showing up to class. They're taking risk in the classroom. So this was fantastic, and I hope that it benefits some of our rising or incoming practitioners, and also those who are there who need a little something different or extra. Hopefully, you gain something out of this conversation. Mrs. Ginn, is there a handle they can reach you at? If they want to touch base and have a quick chit chat with you or get some insights from you.
They can email me at mginn@plainfield.k12.nj.us.
Okay, so you don't mind if I make that a part of my description? I'll put it in the description so that folks can, reach out if they have a need. All right. And for the rest of you.
Not a problem. And those that offer can come by and see me.
Okay. Now we promoting the Hawks, huh? So listen, folks, those of you on here, if you know anybody who still needs some real strategies on classroom management, there will be an upcoming virtual workshop coming in September. Be on the lookout for it. And always, of course, reach out to Dr. Kwa at AKAN-EDUCATION. I thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Have a fantastic rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.